20 years across marketing, social media, customer experience, and design. He's led social media efforts for 3 Fortune 300 companies, including Discover, Humana, and McDonald's. But probably most importantly, he's a diehard Cubs fan. And a pinball wizard. We gotta hear more about that. Let's give a warm round of applause for Dan.
All right, what is up, social media marketing world? I've been looking forward to this for so long. This is my favorite conference of the year, and I'm so excited to see all of you here. Thank you for coming. And before I start, I want to tell you that because I practice what I preach, I am all about customer feedback, and I listen to it. So please go to that survey afterwards and rate this session. Tell me what you liked specifically and what you didn't. These are all new examples. I've never shared these before on this stage, and so I want to know which ones spoke to you and which ones that you didn't like, and I will not be offended at any of it. So thank you so much for being here. We're going to talk today about how to get people talking more positively about your brand in social media. And spoiler alert, the answer is going to be by creating a remarkable customer experience for them. Because when we create remarkable customer experiences, people want to share that. So let's take a look here. This is often the going viral strategy, right? Let's just try a whole bunch of stuff and hope something sticks. Maybe we'll get a viral video out of it if we're lucky. Have you ever had an executive come to you and say, can't you just make us a viral video, right? That's not exactly how it works, as we know, right? So I contend that a better way is to focus on your customer. Listen to your customer and engage with your customer, and they're going to give you some amazing content ideas that will not require a viral video. So I found this interesting recently. Now, we know when we're on social media that people share bad experiences, right? Who has seen somebody complain about a brand on social media? Raise your hand, raise your eye. Almost everybody in the room, right? We see that a lot. Now, we also see some people share positive experiences. Who's seen somebody brag about a brand? Okay, a little bit less. The problem is that most experiences that we have are somewhere in the middle. As my millennial friends like to say, meh, right? And nobody shares a meh experience, because why would you? Nobody cares. And the problem is, this line drawn to scale is we have more negative experiences than we have positive experiences with brands, which is why when we look at social as a whole, we think about people complaining. And our executives, our leaders in the company are afraid of social media because that's where all the complainers are. And what I want to teach you today is how to move this needle so that, as we like to say at McDonald's, the lovers are louder than the haters. You're never going to get rid of all the haters. There's going to be haters out there. But we can get the lovers to be really loud out there as well. Fascinating statistic that I saw recently. 30% of people who have had a negative experience say that they will share it on social media or write a bad review. But would you believe that almost 50% who have had a positive experience say they'll do the same thing? So all we've got to do is create great experiences for people, and they will talk about us in a positive way like we want them to. And to do that, I've developed a little mnemonic device called Wiser, which is the 5 things that you need to do to create positive experiences that people want to talk about. Now, these experiences, being witty always helps, and we're going to talk about being witty. Being intentional, which means that positive experiences don't generally happen by accident. They're planned. The third is that it's shareable. If you're not doing something that is Instagram worthy today, that people want to take their phones out and take a picture or a video, they're not nearly as likely to share. All of you that raised your hands about hearing a positive experience or even a negative experience, most of those posts are accompanied by some sort of photograph, right? As with anything in social media. Number 4 is that it has to be extraordinary. Now, extraordinary is a big word, but really just what it means is better than ordinary. Okay? Because again, nobody shares that meh experience. And the third is that, can we count here today? The fifth is that companies have to be responsive so that when people share, you engage back with them and you show the rest of the world, A, that you care about your customers and that you appreciate when people take time out of their day to say nice things about you, and B, that you are a company people want to do business with. This is going to help move that needle so that when we look at that same graph in a year, we see far more positive than we see negative, and we start taking away from that meh as well. So let's start with witty. Now, before we get into this, I want to say witty is different from being funny. And I want to warn you about being funny, because I always get this question, right? Humor is different for different people. What I find funny, you might find offensive, and the other way around. So we have to be really careful about being humorous. But being witty is a little bit different. Think of maybe a synonym for witty would be clever. Okay? This is a clever sign at a gas station right by my house. Gas is $2.99, but customer service, great customer service, is priceless. All right, now if this gas station sitting across the street from another gas station selling gas at the same price, where do you think I'm going to go? Right? Because just a couple of words on their sign make them feel like a more welcoming place. That's witty to me. I love this sign. It's outside of a skyscraper in Chicago. 2 words turn this sign into a sign that is unremarkable to one that's memorable. And how long did it take for that person? I mean, I know those little letters take a while to put onto that thing, but like it was a couple minutes to get those 2 more words to turn this into something now that is worthy of taking a picture of. Did it cost any more? I don't think so. They probably already had the letters, right? One of my favorite examples, this is a restaurant in Chicago. It's called Osteria Via Stato. And it is essentially, there's 2 parts of the restaurant. There's a pizza section and there's a pasta section. This is a set of swinging doors. And there are lots of people going through these doors. There are customers going through these doors. There are waiters with trays. There are people with big things of water and wine and all that. And I noticed that nobody crashed into each other. I was like, how is this possible? This is a really busy restaurant. So, I'm going to try something here that I don't usually do. When I come down, I'm going to find you. Hello. What's your name?
Sabine.
Sabine, nice to meet you. Can you tell me, when you approach a door, what are the words that you usually see on that door? Push or pull. Let's have a hand for Sabine. All right, Sabine also gets a signed copy of Winning at Social Customer Care. Thank you, Mrs. Tracy. Okay, but what happens when doors say push or pull? They're 2 English words. They're both 4 letters long. They both start with PU. And what happens? People can't understand them, right? Oh, it says push, right? So guess what these guys did? What's the possibly easiest word you could ever come up with? Yes and no. Yes and no. Not one person got it wrong. Okay, and so how easy is that? Did that cost anything? Not that I know of. Right? This wasn't difficult. So I think that being witty, especially in your language, is a great way to stand out from the crowd. And again, these aren't meant to be funny. They're not meant to cause a laugh. But there is a sort of a wink to it that makes it memorable. But it's also effective, right? Because if you own a restaurant, people are crashing into each other and plates are falling and all that. That's not a really good experience. So they've actually solved a real problem. But in the meantime, they've also done something that's really marketable. Love this example. This is a UK company called ASOS that made kind of a mistake. Now, most companies would have thrown away these bags. Not these guys. They turned it into a self-deprecating social media post. Now, you guys are all social media people. Look at those retweets and likes down there. Holy cow, who loves this company? I do. Right? And so this wasn't hard. This didn't cost any money. But they took an extra minute to say, what can we do here to be just a little bit different that gets people talking? Now, can you imagine, how many of those people either have never heard of ASOS or maybe weren't customers, and now they're introduced to them for the first time, and they like this company. This company, I can already tell this company is going to be fun to do business with, right? So positive experiences on social. Okay, now that we're done being witty, let's be intentional. Okay, let's really make sure that what we are doing is not by accident. It's planned. And I don't mean like auto-scheduled robots. I just mean that we're thinking about it. I had this example, I swear, before they went on stage the other day and sang it. Who's heard of The Greatest Showman? Well, now you've all heard of The Greatest Showman. tell a story. This is a true story. Every morning, I wake up to the theme song of The Greatest Showman. You now all know what it sounds like, so perhaps you can sing along with me. But it goes something like this. Whoa! Boom! Whoa! Boom! Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment you've waited for. Whoa! Now, obviously that wakes me up, right? Thank you. So that wakes me up in the morning, as I'm sure it would wake you up. But I was thinking the other day, as this alarm went off, for like the 900th day in a row, but it took me that long to figure it out. I was thinking, I gotta talk about this in my presentation, because you know what The Greatest Showman did? When it became really popular, it had a second running in theaters. They had a special sing-along edition that invited people back and told them, it's okay to sing along with this movie. In fact, please do it. And my daughter, who is 11, and this is her favorite movie, goes back to the theater, pays a ticket a second time, and, well, I paid the ticket a second time. And she enjoys the movie a second time. Yeah, sure, so it made her more money, but she had this deep, immersive experience with the movie that she will never forget, with a crowd like this, all singing along to the same songs, right? This is a brilliant, intentional move to create an experience that is memorable. Now, obviously not every movie can do this, right? But if you got music, you might as well go with it. Sipsmith Gin is a London-based gin. And if any of you have ever gone to a liquor tasting at your grocery store or your liquor store, you know there's usually some person sitting at a table handing out samples, and it's like, do you like it, yes or no? Sipsmith said, no, this is not the way to get people to experience our gin. So at a festival in Chicago, they set up an entire bar, complete with a nicely dressed bartender. And when you walk up to the front, the first thing that happens is they give you a little bit of gin, and they talk to you about your 3 choices for tonic. I'm sorry, did you say 3 choices for tonic? I thought tonic was tonic. Well, no, it turns out there's American tonic, there's Indian tonic, there's European tonic, all that have different flavors. I'm learning already. Okay, so I picked my tonic. The next thing is they send you over to the Sipsmith garnish bar. The garnish bar doesn't just have lemons and limes. It has rose petals. It has black peppercorn. It has all these herbs and spices and dried fruits and fresh fruits. And you can choose anything you want and put it into your gin and tonic. The best thing is they then give you a little card and a teensy-weensy little clip. And you're supposed to write the name of your newly created drink on the card, clip it to your little cup, and tell the world about your drink. It is the most Instagram-ready marketing campaign that I've ever seen, right? And if I hadn't actually messed up with the handwriting, I would have shown you my card, so that's why it's not here. But this is amazing. I did the calculations, because I'm sometimes a geek like this. There are over, with the three tonics and the garnish bar choices, there are over 1 billion combinations of drinks that you can make from the ingredients that were there. That is amazing, right? And compare that to that typical, here's a glass, taste it, it's on sale for $19.99 down in aisle 4, right? Which is pretty much the normal experience when you're invited to some sort of a tasting. This is very intentional. Now, did this cost more money? Yeah, it did, but it's repeatable, and the difference that it makes is incredible because nobody ever has shared that experience in the supermarket of tasting a liquor or a wine. Great company based in San Francisco called Imperfect Produce. I love this company. Love it, love it, love it. One of the best things about Imperfect Produce is that they also could have fit in the witty category, but their marketing is incredibly consistent throughout the buyer journey. So this is a cute little sign that they have on a billboard. This is one of the packages that I get. So basically what Imperfect Produce does is it sells fruits and vegetables that are a little bit ugly. Sometimes they're misshapen, sometimes they're too small, sometimes they're too big. Occasionally they're just excess. There's nothing wrong with them. But it's fruit and vegetables that supermarkets won't take. So instead of going into the landfill, which as it turns out when you learn the history of this company is actually a really big food problem in the United States, is that tons of perfectly edible food go into the landfill, They sell it for a discounted price. They deliver it every week to you. You can choose the size of your box. You can choose to skip deliveries, go every other week, whatever. It's completely flexible, and you tell them what you want in the box. You don't like asparagus, you'll never see asparagus. You love peaches, you'll see peaches anytime you want. But they also tell you how much waste you have kept out of the landfill, and they track it for you. You could go onto the website and see how much waste you specifically have saved. And when you hit certain milestones, they celebrate with you. They include a card in the box, and they give you a gift. I think this was a cloth shopping bag. I got some vegetable tattoos that my kids loved. It's little stuff, but it says you've saved 250 pounds of waste from going into the landfill. I feel good about that. That reaffirms my choice to be an Imperfect Produce customer. They also encourage people to take pictures of their misshapen fruit and vegetables, and I happened to find one that perfectly matched the box, so I really liked it, and I shared it, and people share this stuff all the time, because you know what? Some of the stuff is fun. Like, I mean, I got a carrot the size of, like, Tennessee one day. It was gigantic, and I got, and you get this fruit that is, like, weirdly shaped and stuff, and so it is photograph ready, which is awesome, but they encourage you to do it. And they put a hashtag on, but they don't give you a whole long set of instructions. When I worked for Discover once, we had a campaign where we sent people a $5 Starbucks gift card when they hit like their 31st day with us. And all it said, there's just a card, and it said, thanks for being a customer, and here's a $5 gift card. No selling anything. And I convinced them to put a hashtag on the card. And the response I got was, well, we gotta tell people what to do with the hashtag. I said, no, if they don't know what to do with the hashtag, they're not gonna be doing it anyway. Just put the hashtag on, and the people that know, they're gonna do something. And the number of people, thousands and thousands of people, this is a credit card, right? Credit cards, we get a lot of sharing on social media, not so much. Thousands and thousands of people sharing pictures of the gift card, and even better, sharing pictures of the drink they got at Starbucks saying, thank you, Discover, for my free whatever it was. Okay? All we did is put a hashtag out there for them to use, and people are willing to share, and we created a good experience. Okay, let's talk about making it shareable. Now, this is maybe the most obvious, right? That it's got to be something that people want to talk about. This is obviously the best example on the planet, right, is the Share a Coke campaign. And they have continued to evolve it. They've added more names. They recently added this sticker so that you literally can peel it off and share it. Because I did figure out that early on, there was something wrong with this campaign, right? It was that if I get a bottle that has Mary's name on it, and then I drink the Diet Coke, Mary doesn't want me to share that bottle with her, right? So the Share a Coke part didn't really physically work. Now it does, because I can just peel off the sticker and give it to her. But have you heard of HugPost? HugPost is an awesome company that has an app that allows you to write handwritten thank you notes to your customers and clients simply by typing into the app what you want to say. And then they have artists that design these beautiful cards and write exactly what you said and put it in the mail for you. And what they've told me is the result is people take these thank you cards and they hang them up on their bulletin boards at the office. Now, when's the last time anybody did that when you sent a thank you email? Did they print it out and put it up on their bulletin boards? No, they did not. But by going just a little bit different and on that extra mile, and look, a lot of people tell you write handwritten thank you notes and they work. This is even one step above, right? This is a piece of art that people know that you've taken out the time to care about them and they remember you for it. Now, when a customer service person or customer experience person passes by a sign that says Robotic Coffee Bar, he has to stop. Okay? I'm speaking about a friend of mine. So I'm like, what is this? I gotta check out the Robotic Coffee Bar. So I entered Cafe X, which is in San Francisco. Now when you walk into Cafe X, the first thing that you're gonna see is no people. There's no humans in Cafe X. Instead, you're gonna see this robot in the back and a bunch of screens. Actually, you go first on the right, you go to a kiosk and you order your coffee, and there's many choices at Starbucks. You can pick any combination that you want. And then you walk over to this robot and you watch it make your coffee. Now, the video that I have here is actually after it's made the coffee. So what's happened is you can order ahead as you're walking over. And so if you're not there yet, the robot makes the coffee and then it sets it aside, keeps it warm, and then this happens. And don't worry, there's not really any sound here. So I type in my code that the first kiosk gave me. bunted in what I like to call the little coffee elevator. And I got what was a delicious and tasty flat white. Now, I thought this was a really, really interesting example because I've actually, and on our podcast, we've talked about coffee shops a lot. Coffee shops are a great place for experience, right? And we had just done a feature on a coffee shop that was specifically trying to create conversation and community. So they didn't have Wi-Fi, for example. They encouraged people to leave their laptops at home. But what happened is people started scheduling meetings. It's right across from what used to be called the Sears Tower in Chicago, now the Willis Tower, but no one calls it that. And people schedule meetings at this coffee shop. And they meet there, and they talk face to face. And they order lots of coffee. And that's what this guy was trying to create. These guys are creating exactly the opposite, right? There's literally no one to talk to. There's not a human being in there. But they're both remarkable. And they're both really interesting. And they're both different than that typical day-to-day coffee experience that we have, which may be great. I'm a huge Starbucks fan, so I'm not knocking Starbucks. I love Starbucks. But these guys are doing something really, really interesting that is shareable, right? How many times do you think that video, or a video like it, of that robot making coffee has been shared? I don't know the exact number, but I will tell you it is many. Okay, then there's extraordinary. And extraordinary, again, is just a bit above ordinary. This is a hotel, this is a Hilton hotel room that I was in recently. This is a little tiny nightlight that sits underneath the nightstand. And when you wake up in the middle of the night in that dark hotel, it's always darker than at home, and you can't remember where you are, because either you're in lots of hotels or you know you're not home but you don't know where you are, and you step down on the floor to go to the bathroom, it lights your way. What an incredible idea. So when I saw this, I was like, I gotta check this out. I literally got on my hands and knees and I looked at this light. This thing was like $1.25 at Home Depot. Like, it was just a little tiny plastic light. But I thought to myself, we always hear, well, you gotta be in your customer's shoes, you gotta, act like a customer. Like, somebody was literally in their customer's slippers at this hotel, right? You wouldn't know that this was an issue unless you spent time in your own beds in your own hotel, right? And this is what was so impressive to me, was that somebody identified that this is something that people, it's one of those things they needed and they didn't know they needed. Now, maybe the hotel, maybe they had complaints because people really were banging into the bed. That's happened to me before. Maybe people were actually getting injured. It's possible. But I love this example because it's so simple and it's so easy, and yet it is remarkable. My sister was at a hotel just last week, and she sent me almost this same picture, and she's like, have you seen this before? This is a great experience. I'm like, yep, it's going to be in my presentation. All right, Chewy is an awesome brand that you may have heard of, and Chewy has raving fans. That, by the way, is my cat. That's Caboodles. And Chewy, again, I host this podcast called Experience This, and we tell stories all the time. There is no brand that I have heard about more often from our listeners than Chewy. And I want to share with you what I believe could be the single best customer service email in the history of customer service emails. So let me set this up for you. Maria Angela is a customer, and she had a cat and she ordered some litter, and she wasn't happy with the litter because, I don't know, it didn't clump well enough or something like that. So she writes a bad review on Chewy about the litter. She loves Chewy. It's not anything about Chewy. It's a product review, okay? She writes the review, she leaves. She thinks that's the end of her engagement. She gets this email, and don't worry about reading the whole thing. I'm going to basically summarize it for you. This is an unsolicited email for the customer service department of Chewy that says, we're really sorry that this litter didn't work out for you. We've already gone ahead and refunded your money. By the way, she didn't ask for a refund. Okay? So we've refunded your money. Also, we want you to just give the litter away, bring it to a shelter or something like that. Don't worry about sending it back to us. That would be a pain in the neck. Also, we've taken the time and researched some alternate litters for you because we think that one of these 4 brands may solve your specific problem. So here they are with links to the products. And probably the best part is at the end, they name her cat by name. And they say, please send us a picture of her because we have a furry wall of fame we would like to put her on. Whoa! all that precipitated that was a bad review on a product that isn't even Chewy's product. It's somebody else's product. But they sell it, and so they felt responsible for it. Now, did this cost a lot of money? No. In fact, I'll bet it's probably a template. It's, some of it's a template, fill in name of cat here, whatever. But it took some human intervention, right? Because the person did have to go and find the alternate litters, okay, which took a little bit of work. But can you imagine how this made the customer feel, right? When they had a bad experience. And we all know that although it's not Chewy's fault that litter didn't work, sometimes we as companies get blamed for stuff like that. We get blamed for things that are out of our control. I wrote a piece one day for Forbes about baseball games and how baseball stadiums can give you the greatest experience ever, but they can't control how the team plays, and they can't control if the weather's good. Those are the two things that no matter how good the experience is, that's out of their control. And you could have a crappy experience at a baseball game simply because it wasn't sunny and everything else went right. So here, it's not Chewy's fault, but they responded, and they obviously have a customer for life who, of course, not only shared it on social media, but called her favorite podcaster and told him to include it on his podcast. This is a urinal. And actually, if any of you men here were at Social Media Marketing World last year, the opening party was in the USS Midway. This is the bathroom in the USS Midway. Now, for you ladies in here, I'm not going to go into too much description, but suffice it to say that soccer ball is on a string and it moves. Okay? So use your imagination. And I say to you, if somebody can make an experience out of a urinal, can't you make an experience in your company? Can't you create something that is remarkable if someone can do it with a urinal? Right? It's not that hard. Funny thing is I was watching, I don't know if anyone else was in Tyler Anderson's talk earlier today. He showed a picture of a urinal too, a different urinal. I'm like, hey, it's urinal day at Social Media Marketing. Okay. When people start sharing, and they are going to start sharing positive things about your company, it is critical that you are responsive to them. A lot of companies prioritize complaints first, and that's okay, because if somebody is having a problem with your brand, you do need to take care of them quickly. But do not forget about your fans and the people who are saying nice things about you. They're taking time out of their day to share a positive experience. And then you're going to go ignore them? This is a huge opportunity, even a simple like or a retweet. But better yet, a comment, a thank you, we love you too, something. Here's some companies doing this. You might have seen this in the news just recently. Taylor says that she has flown to a wedding and she has forgotten her bridesmaid's dress. By the way, Southwest, would you mind flying me the dress over? Southwest writes her back and says yes. Now, this goes on and there's a whole bunch of different tweets involved, but somebody a little bit later on in the afternoon, some random guy named Phil, asked Taylor, did this work? She says it totally did. Look how many likes she got on that tweet. By the way, Taylor has like 400 followers on Twitter. There's the dress. She's thanking Southwest, another 558 likes. Did it cost Southwest any money? Not really, they were flying anyway, right? They just kind of had to add a dress. Somebody met them at the airport and handed it to them and they brought it on the plane. But they got such great buzz out of this just by doing something a little bit better and memorable. And they also were listening on social media. So they saw somebody had a problem and they found an opportunity to fix it. My friend Stephanie had an issue on New Year's Eve. She wanted to order pizza, and so she asked Papa John's ahead of time, are you going to be open on New Year's Eve? I just thought it was a crazy question. What pizza place is not open on New Year's Eve? But she wanted to make sure because she wanted her pizza on New Year's Eve. They said, yep, we got it. Tell us your zip code. And she did, and they wrote back and they said, we're all good. New Year's Eve comes along. Stephanie says, uh-oh. I thought we had a deal. I thought I could get pizza. As it turns out, not only was Papa John's app down, so was Domino's app. So what does Stephanie do? She walks over into her kitchen, she opens up her freezer, and she pulls out DiGiorno's. And she tweets to DiGiorno's and says it's not delivery, their own tagline, but DiGiorno's to the rescue. Bam, DiGiorno's for the win. Like, yes! Right? And they just were responsive. That's it, they were responsive. And they made a fan for life. I don't know if anybody saw this one, but this is a sports reporter. And he talked about Stefan Curry, who was an NBA basketball player, and a young girl who wrote him a handwritten letter complaining to him that his shoes did not come in girls' sizes. Now, obviously, you can't read these letters, but not only does Stephen Curry write this girl back a handwritten letter, he tells her that he's very upset about this as well, that he's been in contact with the shoe manufacturer, that it has something to do with the way that they name the sizes and whatever, and it's getting fixed. And not only that, he wants to make sure that she's the first person to get his new Curry 6s coming off the line, and he wants her help designing a special shoe for girls. Look at the number of retweets and likes just from the sports reporter who posted these two articles, or these two letters. There's the girl, and there's the shoe that she designed. Now this is a multi-million-dollar athlete that was just listening, that was just being responsive. So I ask you, if Stephen Curry can respond to his customers, can't you? Can't you do that? There was a tweet a couple weeks ago where Elon Musk responded to a customer himself on a Friday night within an hour of the tweet. If Elon Musk can do it, can you? So, to get people talking more positively about your brand, you have to be wiser. You've got to be witty. You've got to be intentional. You've got to be shareable. You've got to be extraordinary. You've got to be responsive. And if you do those 5 things, you're going to see that the percentage of discussion about your brand is going to become more positive. We're going to make the lovers louder than the haters. We're going to move that sentiment needle. If you are in social media, and heck, at this conference, who isn't? You're measuring sentiment. Don't you want to see your positive sentiment grow and that negative sentiment get small? And that's exactly what you will do if you follow these 5 things. Thank you so much for your time, everybody. I really appreciate it.